Ladies and gentlemen, I will be your chairman for this evening's function. Just to introduce myself to those of you who maybe see me for the first time, Senator Jahisiah Benoit. I come from the community of Kingshill, but I've resided in all of the different hamlets in Roseau South at one point or the other. So I'm a man from all over the Roseau South. And it's a pleasure to be your master of ceremony this evening. At this time, moving on in our program, it's my duty to perform the welcome remarks. So I would really like to say, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, people of the Roseau South. I am humbled to have the honor of welcoming you all to this momentous occasion, the first in a series of government town hall meetings to be convened in the Roseau South constituency. However, before I begin this duty, I am elated to inform you that although he is not present with us right now, our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, is making his way swiftly to join us this evening and will be addressing this evening's function. I would also like to acknowledge our distinguished members of cabinet who will be addressing us this evening. Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, our Minister of Health and Environment, as well as Honorable Peter Seja, our Minister of Education and Human Resource Development. Also to acknowledge our distinguished members of cabinet and parliamentary representatives here with us in solidarity in their large numbers this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give them a Roseau South welcome. I would also like to acknowledge Miss Samantha Robinson, who led us in the national anthem. I think this is a song that we all need to practice a lot more, singing it together. Normally we have one person singing, but as she was singing, I'm sure many of us realized there may be some words we forgot. It's good for us to sing these songs together. I would like to also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Ronald Charles, a stalwart of the Roseau South constituency, a man that has worked throughout this constituency, and we're very thankful for your opening prayer this morning. Acknowledging our presence also Mr. Ambrose George, champion of the Roseau South, and a man that has served the Roseau South for over 20 years, ladies and gentlemen, here with us this evening. And of course, here at the Newtown Primary School, our saint of the Newtown Primary School, is unofficial, but none other than Miss Sonia Williams, to acknowledge your presence here this evening, and all of our distinguished guests here this evening, and to the people of Newtown, Fortney, Citronet, Castle Comfort, Walhouse, Loubier, Girodel, Egliston, Kingshill, Bath Estate, Silver Lake, every community, every hamlet within the Roseau South. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good evening to you. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 12 teaches us that fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom, and knowledge of God is the path to understanding. I believe and I know our PM to be a God-fearing man, and having followed the town hall meetings and his remarks at previous meetings, what has struck me is that he has always underscored the spiritual importance of the work which the Dominica Labour Party government is doing under his leadership, reminding us that the DLP is establishing a comprehensive policy and programmatic framework to facilitate our sustainable development, not just due to our socialist democratic principles as enshrined in our constitution, but as part of our Christian and moral duty to care for the weak, to care for the sick and disabled, to ensure shelter for those without a roof over their heads. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, to be our brother's keeper. And what this says to us, Dominicans, is that the work of this Dominica Labour Party administration transcends politics, ladies and gentlemen. I am convinced that it is because of our PM's deep belief in God and his profound understanding of the roles and responsibility of a government that he continues to consistently make wise decisions that have led us on a path to a period of unprecedented development in the Commonwealth of Dominica, ladies and gentlemen. And so I am elated to welcome you to this momentous occasion. This opportunity for all those present and those able to follow the proceedings via mass media and the social media to develop a keen understanding of the policy, programs, and initiatives of the Dominica Labour Party, which continue to touch the lives of Dominicans throughout the Roseau South and across our motherland. Moreover, it is an opportunity for you, the residents of the Roseau South, to ask pertinent questions as it relates to our development in the Roseau South constituency. And so, in welcoming you, I think this is an event that will leave us all with a positive outcome, with an increased understanding, and a positive outlook for the development in the Roseau South. So once again, I welcome you to the Roseau South, the third largest constituency in the Commonwealth of Dominica. I welcome you to the Roseau South, a constituency with one of the largest populations and the most widest variation in terms of our socio-economic backgrounds. I welcome you to the Roseau South, where we were severely impacted by Tropical Storm Erica. And I really want to thank all of those who are here in our midst who volunteered after the passage of Tropical Storm Erica and say that we need to give you a round of applause for your voluntary effort during that time. We were devastated after Tropical Storm Erica. Our road network was in shambles. Many of our housing developments were under pressure. Some individuals even lost their very shelter. But the Dominica Labour Party administration, under the leadership of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, was there with us every step of the way to ride us through that storm, take us through that storm, and take us now into a period where we see life is returning to normal. And it didn't just happen like that, by a snap of a finger. How many of us remember the damage to the roads in Girodale and Egliston after Tropical Storm Erica? In Kings Hill and in Lower Castle Comfort. Our Prime Minister allocated some $1.6 million $1.6 million towards rehabilitation works to take place in the constituency to bring us back to a greater level of normalcy, bring us as close back to what we had before Tropical Storm Erica as was possible. And we saw road edge reinstatement in Castle Comfort, we saw road edge reinstatement in Girodale and Egliston, and also in Kings Hill we saw the introduction of several retaining walls. So, since the passage of Tropical Storm Erica, we have been seeing in a very big way, in a very tangible way, that this Dominica Labour Party administration is committed and concerned about the livelihoods of the people in the Roseau South constituency. And we are very proud of that, and we want to say to our government, we thank you for that support and your presence here in the Roseau South. Ladies and gentlemen, with so many concerns, challenges, and opportunities within the Roseau South, it requires a focused approach. It requires a focused approach to claim to be addressing any of the issues affecting our residents. And so that is why I'm so thankful that we are blessed with a Dominica Labour Party government that has exactly the comprehensive policy and programmatic framework that we need to treat with our many concerns and challenges. Let's consider, for example, in the 21st century, where not even a young child going to primary school would feel comfortable without a cellular phone. What would we feel like as an adult to be living in a home without the convenience of a washroom facility, brothers and sisters? And so I am very proud of our Dominica Labour Party administration for pushing the sanitation program and for making sure that the sanitation program can touch the lives of the people of the Roseau South constituency, brothers and sisters. Because there are many of us who are still in need of such facilities within our homes. Or if not in our homes, we are aware of a neighbor or a relative that is in need of such a facility. But thus far, we have seen that the Prime Minister is committed to keeping his promise to eradicate pit latrines in Dominica and in the Roseau South by the end of 2017. Because as we speak, funds are being spent to provide some 42 washrooms for families in the community of Kings Hill, brothers and sisters, to ensure that they have an improved quality of life. As we speak, brothers and sisters, over 20 washrooms are being constructed in the communities of Girodale and Egliston to ensure that the families that are in need from those communities will have a better quality of life. They will have the convenience at night instead of going out and having to use the pit latrines. So we are very thankful and grateful to see the sanitation program is touching the lives of citizens in the Roseau South. But those of you from communities that I have not mentioned as yet, I want to say to you, keep the faith and hold strong. Because as we speak, Work has been going on in your communities, and here I'm speaking of communities such as Loubier, communities such as Newtown, Fortney, and Citronay, to do the necessary assessment, to identify the individuals with those needs. And we are taking time to make sure that we don't overlook any individual case. That is to say, the opportunity is still open. If you know anyone who has such a need, please inform us so that we can ensure when we provide the Prime Minister with the list of people who are in need of a washroom facility from Newtown, from Loubier, from Bath Estate and other environments, and other communities rather, that we can have a comprehensive list. And so we can know at the end of 2017, no one in the Roseau South will have a pit latrine anymore, brothers and sisters. With such a large constituency and such a large population, education is critical. Education is critical for us in the Roseau South, so that we can empower ourselves to rise up out of poverty which still exists in many pockets within our constituency. And so I want to say to you that this Dominica Labour Party government is the only government that has demonstrated such a profound commitment to the education of each and every citizen in this country. And we see it through their actions, brothers and sisters. We see it through the establishment of the new Newtown Primary School, our venue for this evening's meeting. In fact, some of us may be aware that this school was promised to our Honorable Prime Minister to be placed in his constituency. But again, he showed that level of selflessness that we expect of a leader. And he saw the need, the urgent need, for the improvement to the school in Newtown. And 2 years later, we have a brand new Newtown Primary School right here in the community of Newtown, in the Roseau South constituency. So we thank the Prime Minister for that sacrifice, and we want to say to him that we'll continue to do our best, picking up where Miss Williams left off, to make sure that our students from Newtown and environs continue to excel and be the best in terms of our human resource product in the Commonwealth of Dominica. But beyond that, brothers and sisters, we know that this Labour Party administration is focused on education, not just at the later stages, not just at the primary stage or the tertiary stage, but this government has invested heavily in early childhood education. Just consider our surroundings, the number of preschools that are located in Newtown. To my left, we have the Ginger Preschool. To my front, we have the Charlotte's Preschool, Nursery School. We have another school lower down the road, leading up from the Newtown Savannah. We have to focus a lot of our attention on education in the Roseau South. And I want to thank the Honorable Peter Seja for being a true friend and champion of the Roseau South. Because he always ensures that whatever the Ministry of Education is making available to students in this country, the Roseau South will have its fair share. And here I'm speaking of uniforms. We know we are at the end of a school year. And one of the things that every student looks forward to once it is possible in September, not necessarily going back to school, but to put on that brand new uniform, that new school shirt, that new school shoe, and go to school with a sense of pride. And I want to, on behalf of the parents that have received in the past, and those that will receive this year, Honorable Seja, thank you and your ministry for your support to the parents in making sure their students can go to school feeling proud. Beyond that, brothers and sisters, we know that the Education Trust Fund continues to play a major role in helping the less fortunate to obtain an education. And as we speak, many parents are approaching the Ministry of Education for the school transfer grant, for transportation assistance, and other forms of assistance. And I can assure you that with the Honorable Peter Seja as our Minister of Education, we will get our fair share of this assistance in the Roseau South. I encourage you to go to the Science and Technology building, obtain the requisite forms, and let's assist our people the best we can. Brothers and sisters, this Labour Party has made the policy pronouncement that there will be a university graduate in every household in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And rather than just speaking it, this Labour Party administration has been working hard towards achieving it, providing scholarships at the tertiary level for students across the Roseau South. In fact, in the past 2 years, I can inform you that scholarships have been awarded to students from the Roseau South to pursue studies in the People's Republic of China and also more recently in Cuba. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to inform you that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are new opportunities in India. There are new opportunities in Morocco. And ladies and gentlemen, at this time, let us acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and Mrs. Skerrit joining us here this evening. Let's give them a big Roseau South welcome. Let's make some noise for our PM. Let's make him know we cherish him here in the Roseau South. Roseau South, are you happy to see a PM here tonight? And we are even more blessed because we have the lovely Mrs. Skerrit with us. Let's put our hands together for brothers and sisters. Let's just give it a second to sink in. I know the star power of our PM is really magnificent. But back to education, because it's under the leadership of our Prime Minister that we have seen a larger population of Dominicans able to obtain education at the tertiary level. Before the establishment of the State College, less than 10% of high school graduates would go to tertiary level institutions in the Commonwealth of Dominica. But as we speak, the Dominica State College can accommodate every single high school graduate once they meet the minimum requirements for entry, brothers and sisters. And this is a significant achievement under the leadership of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, brothers and sisters. As we know, the Roseau South is known for its exemplary and legendary sportsmen. And so sports and women, thank you there, so I know that netball is very dear to your heart. And so, of course, our women cannot be left out. But sportsmen and women have been excelling in the Roseau South. And so sports is also of critical importance to us in the Roseau South constituency. I can inform us here tonight that we have conducted an assessment of all of our playing fields within the Roseau South constituency. That will include the Kingshill playing field, the Newtown Savannah, the Loubier playing field, the Girondale playing field, Egliston playing field, Injury Park, and all other playing fields. With a view to identify Buffett playing field as well. With a view to identify the needed upgrades on the respective playing fields. And this, we are pursuing the respective improvements in consultation with the Ministry of Youth and Constituency Empowerment, with a view to treat with the different needs as much as is possible. And at this stage, I can inform you that those of us from Loubier who have been waiting now for quite some time will have to wait no longer, because the Ministry of Youth and Sports has provided the final amount of resources we needed to install the playing field lights in the community of Loubier. So the footballers, the cricketers, and the sportsmen and women of Loubier can look forward to playing sports on a well-lit field in the coming weeks, ladies and gentlemen. The contract has already been signed and the contractor has already begun his work. It would be remiss of me here if in saying that I didn't also acknowledge the significant contribution from the Dominica Lotteries Commission towards helping us procure the much-needed lights. So the Lotteries Commission helped us to procure the lights, and the Ministry of Youth is now helping us to install them. Besides that, I can inform our people of Egliston, who I see here with us in solidarity, that your playing field, I know it was significantly affected after Tropical Storm Erica. But just 2 weeks ago, myself, along with your chairman, Mr. Ashworth Williams, and the chairman of the Pavilion Improvement Committee, we made a visit to that playing field, and we did an assessment in terms of how much it would cost to grade the playing field and also to grass the playing field. So we'll be treating with this as soon as is possible, providing the estimates that we have compiled to the Ministry of Sports. And we'll be undertaking similar works for every other playing field. Because academics is important, but unless we have a balance where sports is involved, we cannot have that healthy lifestyle we need to be healthy. And we all know health is wealth. Now, employment is a challenge the world over. And with such a large population, you will expect that there are many persons seeking employment in the Roseau South constituency. We can all take hope and take that sense of opportunity thanks to the vision of our Prime Minister in establishing the National Employment Program back in 2013, ladies and gentlemen. This is a program that touches lives across Dominica. The Roseau South is no exception. In 2014, we had a cadre of some 50 young people engaged under the NEP from the Roseau South. But at the start of this year, we saw that number increase with the addition of 15 individuals to undertake beautification in the community of Girardel. And I really want to commend the members of the beautification team in Girardel Egliston for doing such a lovely job. We know that Girardel Egliston is the flower basket of the constituency, but it also needs to be maintained. We need to see that beauty, and I thank them for the work they are doing. Besides that, brothers and sisters, we saw a cadre of some 15 young people get employed under the NEP in the private sector and in the public sector. We say we always look out for our youth, but we need to give them the opportunity to succeed, and to excel. And so I was very happy to see that 6 youth out of that second group of 15 are now working at the Youth Development Division, developing skills as youth officers that they can then pass on and bring to bear in communities across the country. Brothers and sisters, in respect to the NEP, I am very pleased to inform you that by the end of this month, an additional 50 young people from the Roseau South constituency will be engaged through the NEP. That will bring our number well in excess of 100. So it says to us that we in the Roseau South are no exception when it comes to the policies of the Dominica Labour Party. It's up to us to look out for our people, to identify those that want the opportunities and to make sure they receive it and they benefit from programs such as the National Employment Program. So I want to thank the Minister of Employment here this evening, and I think we should give him a round of applause for the support that the NEP is giving us here in the Roseau South. But just a note of caution as we move on from the NEP. The NEP is a good opportunity for every Dominican to develop experience and to gain income. But the government can help you insofar as getting the opportunity. It's up to you, brothers and sisters, to keep that opportunity. And so I want to say to those of you who are presently engaged under the NEP, keep putting your best foot forward. And to those of you in the group of 50 that will be engaged this month, put your best foot forward and earn that job so that it will even take you further than you had ever expected. Now, many of us have had to travel long distances to make it here this evening. And depending on which hamlet in the Roseau South you came from, the ride may have been more bumpy than others. I know in particular our friends from Girardel and Egliston and my community of Kings Hill, the challenge is very, very acute. I want to say to you that your government, your cabinet, and our leader are very much aware of the needs of the Roseau South with respect to roads, okay? And they are taking them very seriously. Permit me just to inform you of what is taking place behind the scenes that some of us may not be aware of. As part of our government's Community Road Enhancement Program, we have completed estimates for many of the secondary roads throughout the constituency. No community has been left out. And we have submitted to the Office of the Prime Minister a dossier including estimates for the respective roads totaling to over $4.1 million. So that gives you an idea as to the amount of work we are doing on the ground in terms of being ready whenever resources are available to treat with the road situation in Roseau South. In Kings Hill, I know that the main roads are concerned. I can inform you that we have completed estimates for every major road in Kings Hill. Monbruce, Center Street, Back Street, and as you will be aware, we also completed Melville Batway recently with help from the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So roads is very much in focus in the Roseau South. Our people of Emsall, we know that you suffer a lot of hardship, especially since the passage of Tropical Storm Erica. The dead-end bridge, which was your alternative entry point to your community, was washed away by the storm, okay? And so it left you with only one access and exit point to your community. And here we're speaking of the road from the University of the West Indies. But as we speak, I can inform you that contracts have been signed for the construction of the road, the completion of the road, from the University of the West Indies all the way leading into the community. And so the people of Emsall will see significant improvement to their roads very soon. Also, due to the fact that the dead-end bridge was installed, during any heavy rains, there would be a lot of debris building up and leading the water into the community of Bath Estate. Thankfully, the Ministry of Public Works has responded to a request from residents in that area, and they have since removed the bridge. So presently, if any heavy rains were to fall, the water would run along its natural course and would not fall into the dead-end area, resulting in the damage that we saw in the dead-end area and the Paradise Valley area in Bath Estate. So this is a government that is responding to the needs in a very progressive manner and in a comprehensive manner, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on from roads to focus on small business development, because I mentioned employment and the NEP, but we know that there is no government in this earth that can employ all of its citizens. Okay? Furthermore, the International Labour Organization tells us it's 3 times more difficult for young people to obtain jobs than it is for adults. So we need to pay special attention to small business development in the Roseau South. Just look at the number of businesses we have from the Newtown Savannah to the Castle Comfort gas station. Many businesses. We have retail shops, we have bars, we have seamstresses at work, we have fishermen. There are a number of SMEs right here within the Newtown, Fortney, and Citronia area, and indeed throughout the Roseau South constituency. But I want to say to you that this government is committed to empowering our small business owners. And as we can see through the recent activity and announcements of our Prime Minister, he is making sure that the resources can touch the lives of all of our entrepreneurs in the Roseau South. Whether you are from Bath Estate, where we can see the emergence of several new businesses in Bath Estate, including the very popular car wash. I myself plan to visit there and patronize very soon. Also in communities such as Loubier, we see that a cadre of small entrepreneurs have benefited from assistance very recently. And I can say to you that last week Friday, I went to Mr. Jack's steam fish bar, and I had a very lovely steam fish. And you can see that this young man is putting the resources that the government has given him to very, very good use. And we must commend this, ladies and gentlemen. Because oftentimes we like to say that the government is just throwing money at the problem, but that is not true. This government is making sure in a systematic way, in an organized way, that we can assist our entrepreneurs and follow through with them to make sure that they put the resources to good use. Right here in the community of Newtown at this very school, several weeks ago, the Prime Minister gave an unprecedented commitment of $500,000 to the entrepreneurs of the community of Newtown, brothers and sisters. This demonstrates that the Prime Minister has the Roseau South very much at heart, because nobody asked him to come here. Nobody asked him to make that pronouncement. But he did it because he's aware of the need and able to respond to them, brothers and sisters. So I want to say to every young person now, and even those of us who are in our senior years, but think that we can still contribute to the economy through the establishment of a business. I challenge you to obtain the small business form, fill it out, and send it in to the Ministry of Commerce. Let us create jobs for ourselves. Let us create livelihoods for ourselves. Let us create livelihoods for our brothers and sisters who we can employ at our businesses, brothers and sisters. This government is a government that cares, not just for the young, because you might realize that many of the programs I spoke to previously focus on the young people. But our Prime Minister also cares very much about the old and those senior citizens who have given years of sacrifice to this country. And that is why he introduced the Non-Contributory Pension Assistance Program, or policy, brothers and sisters, to make sure that every citizen over the age of 70, whether or not you were able to pay Social Security during the time that you were employed, you are able to obtain a minimum benefit of $300 a month, brothers and sisters, to help to meet their daily needs. How many of us with elderly relatives can afford to give them that extra boost at the end of the month? How many of us can afford to give them that $50, that $20 they need to buy their medicine, brothers and sisters? This is where this assistance comes in so meaningfully. And I want to say that I can see it touching the lives of the elderly across this constituency. When I visit them, when I see them saying, please tell the Prime Minister, thank you for that assistance. Is that I can use to buy my cylinder? Is that I can use to buy my medicine? Prime Minister, I want to say to you, thank you for the assistance that you are giving to the elderly in the Roseau South constituency. I said earlier that the work of the Labour Party comes from a spiritual origin. It doesn't take a government and shouldn't take a government to care after our loved ones, our mothers and our fathers. But unfortunately, some of us still neglect our mothers and fathers, our elderly relatives. But thanks to the vision of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, in the Commonwealth of Dominica, I'm not sure if there's such a program anywhere else in the world, but in the Commonwealth of Dominica, we have the Yes We Care program. And it has been a solid affirmation to our elderly, those undergoing challenges, that yes, we do care about you and we'll reach out to you in every way we can. And in the Roseau South constituency, we have over 13 beneficiaries of the Yes We Care program. And I really want to thank the Ministry of Social Services for making sure that these individuals and their families benefit from the Yes We Care program, brothers and sisters. Leadership is everything. And our Prime Minister continues to demonstrate exemplary leadership. But he also challenges us as citizens to take up leadership roles at the local level. And so, we can all be aware in the Roseau South constituency, we have 3 major local authorities: the Roseau City Council, the Lubia Village Council, and the Girardel-Egliston Village Council. And in the past 2 years, the Dominica Labour Party administration has been empowering our local authorities to undertake development activities throughout this constituency. In 2016, the Prime Minister made some $80,000 available to the Girardel-Egliston Village Council, 60 of which were used to do road repairs, and 20,000 was used to host the annual Girardel-Egliston Flower Show. And I can say to you that the work on the ground was really positive in the areas such as Lillet, in Girardel, and in the Clark Road in Egliston, brothers and sisters, in the Paul Road in Egliston. Okay? Beyond that, just recently at the start of this year, we saw some over $500,000 placed at the Roseau City Council for washrooms to be installed in the community of Kingshill. Brothers and sisters, we need to lead at the local level. We cannot expect it to only be up to our cabinet, only up to our elected officials to facilitate the development of this country. Let us answer that call to take up a leadership role at the PTA, at the community groups, okay? And let's make a difference on the ground in this constituency, brothers and sisters. One of the most far-reaching challenges in the Roseau South is housing. Throwing $1 million at the housing situation in Roseau South is like throwing a drop of water into the ocean behind us. And that's the sentiment you get when you go on the ground. But I want to say to you that this government is insistent on treating with your needs with respect to housing in a very clear and comprehensive manner. We want to transition away from the time of, I need a window, look the invoice. We want to do things properly. As you have heard our Prime Minister make the pronouncement, it makes no sense to give a man half a window to think that you're going to protect him from the wind. Don't make sense to give a man half a roof thinking you're going to protect him from the hurricanes. So we need to do the requisite assessments and find out the true extent of the problem and treat with those that we can in a systematic way. Those that we cannot deal with up front, we must inform the resident that, you know, it will take a little time and see how best we can support them in the meantime. But to say to you that as we speak, there is a program for housing assessments taking place in the Roseau South constituency, such that any individual that is in need of housing assistance, we will direct staff from the Ministry of Housing. I want to thank the staff of the Ministry of Housing for really being on the ground throughout this constituency, doing the assessments in Egliston, in Kingshill, in Newtown, and throughout the constituency. And once that assessment is done, then we will also have the preparation of some estimates for the repairs that need to be done. And based on that, we will treat with the emergency cases first, and then, based on the discretion of the Ministry of Housing, we will treat with as many cases as we can. Sadly, we will never be in a position to treat with all of the cases at one particular time. So I really want to ask for your indulgence and patience as we go about trying to improve the way we do things here in the Roseau South and indeed across the country. Now, I've been speaking to many concerns that are resonating at the constituency level, at the community level. But inevitably, as we go through life, there will be personal challenges that we endure. And at times we may be reaching out to our relatives, our neighbors, but they may not be in a position to help us at the time. Thankfully, our Prime Minister and the Cabinet have the compassion and the foresight to establish the Public Support Program, a program that has received a lot of criticisms, not constructive. But I want to place on record my full support and my full gratitude for this Public Support Program introduced by the Dominican Labour Party administration, because I cannot imagine what it would be like for some of our families if this program was not in place. When your relative is sick and in need of emergency attention, what can you say to them? Let me bring that by Ministry of Social Services. We'll follow up with you in 3 weeks. Hope they survive in the meantime. That's unacceptable. We must try to create avenues by which we can ensure we can deal with the concerns, the emergencies as they arise. So I want to thank the Cabinet and to thank the Prime Minister for continuing with the Public Support Program, brothers and sisters. And in the Roseau South, we should say an additional thank you, because as we speak, the Prime Minister has ensured that in the decentralization of this program, the Roseau South was not overlooked, brothers and sisters. As we speak, just a few meters away from us is a satellite office of the Public Support Program, at which any of us, any citizen, not just from the Roseau South, but from Soufriere and neighboring constituencies, can come and in a confidential way, in a professional way, raise their issue to the Government of Dominica and be in a position to benefit. And I can say to you that this office has been there for less than 2 months, and over 24 citizens of the Roseau South constituency have brought their concerns and seen their concerns dealt with at this office. So I want to thank the Prime Minister for bringing this office to the Roseau South. It is touching the lives of people in the Roseau South. Brothers and sisters, the task of building a nation does not rest with the government. And this Labour Party administration has tried to voice that sentiment, even from our manifesto, building a prosperous, peaceful and just society, and ensuring that we all understand the importance of nation building. How many of us were in attendance on one of the volunteer days in the Botanical Gardens during that project? How many of us either passed through in solidarity? A few of us are here. This was such a remarkable experience. And again, it demonstrates the leadership of our Prime Minister. Because the government will never have all the resources to deal with all of the development needs in the country. But sometimes, if we look even within our community, as we probably used to do more in the past, we have the assets, we have the human resource, we have the capability to facilitate development at the local level. And so if we can, we have no excuse for not doing that, brothers and sisters. And so what struck me the most about this project in the Botanical Gardens is that it is something that we can replicate in the communities across the Roseau South constituency. And so in closing, I want to say to you that all of which this government has done is simply a demonstration of its concern and commitment to you, the people of the Roseau South constituency. Yet still, it cannot do it alone. And so I want to encourage you all to recommit yourself to the process of nation building. Let's recommit ourselves to give of the little that we have to make the greater cause succeed. Brothers and sisters, Dominica and the Roseau South is us to develop. And I can say to you that I am committed to lending my services, my time, and my ideas, intellect, learning together to see how we can build this constituency, how we can build this country together, brothers and sisters. And so on that note, I want to say to you, thanks for coming, and give you a warm Roseau South welcome to this evening's town hall meeting. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.